Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TFL Podcast for Week 11. We are here to preview the Week 11 NFL DFS slate for Drafstars. I'm here with my mate, Arch.
Yes.
How are you, buddy?
Oh, look, we're here. We weren't sure what was going on a little bit later than usual. But
We'll touch later. That's okay.
Tech is a wonderful thing sometimes, but it's good to have some people joining us. Thank you, Peachy. Thank you, old CMOS and old Timmy Georgie.
Yeah, thanks for joining the stream, lads. We appreciate it very much. And if you are listening to us on podcast, well, thank you for listening. But jump onto YouTube and get involved in the stream. Every week we are on at 8:30. Well, that's Australian Central Daylight Saving Times. 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Times. But anyway, we love having you guys around. And we are on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, TikTok, at the TFL Podcast. So hit us up on the socials and make sure, if you are watching on YouTube, like and subscribe, please, one and all.
Thumbs up button. Click it.
That's it. Hit the thumbs up.
Right now.
That's right. Do it. And, of course, Apple Podcasts, give us a nice little 5-star review because we are the premier DFS NFL podcast in Australia. Should I say that? Yes, we are. Anyway, so that's hey, I don't know anyone else. That's right. Draftstars. Join Draftstars. Come play with us. bit.ly/join Draftstars. And that'll be fantastic. That would be really, really good. Or, of course, we have our TFL contest. bit.ly/TFL Week 11. We'd love to have you come and play some DFS with us. $5 single entry contest. It's a great way to warm into NFL DFS. It's a great little comp. So come on board. Arch, we've also got something else up and running at the moment that you've put a lot of work into lately.
Yes, the Patreon's back on patreon.com/the TFL podcast. Look, if you go on our YouTube channel, at the end of the last episode, we ran through our main slate research spreadsheet that we now release to Patreon. So if you want to get a little bit of extra info, get that edge on the competition for the main slate, look at that in all its beauty. If you want a little free trial, give us a DM on Twitter or any socials, and we might give you a little 1-week taste test. But it's great work there. This week we've got version 2 of my ownership projections that's just been released. You can't get Drafstars ownership projections anywhere at all, Rowan. And so it's good to have them. Hopefully they give you a bit of a sense of what will probably be popular. Who we got this week? I think CD Lamb's popping at 22.2% so far. I think Ramondre Stevenson's the most
27%.
27. So we'll be obviously I'll call it beta stage at this stage, but it's version 2. So hopefully with each week, more data coming in, I can start to make the model more accurate as we go. But Patreon / the TFL podcast, $5 a month is what tiers start at. That's less than 3 mini entries for a month. And so if you're investing in Draftstars, it's a drop in the ocean, really. So come give it a whirl.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's a phenomenal spreadsheet, Arch, that you've put together there, and people will, I'm sure, once they sign up and see, they will see how good it really is. So, look, come on board, guys. Join the Patreon. We'd love to chat with you a bit more and have you on board our NFL DFS journey here in Australia. So, jump on. Last week, it was an interesting week. I kind of broke even. It was middle of the road for me. I was solid in the micro. I hit 5th, which was decent. Unfortunately, not many other lineups followed, so it kind of just broke even there. One thing I keep doing, Arch, though, is I make the wrong choices in terms of the lineups I'm putting into the mini. So my process for the mini is not as good as my process for the micro. That's maybe the opposite feeling for you. I feel like you were looking solid in the mini there.
But wasn't I? Then it that afternoon slate just went bonkers. I think I was first for most of the early slate, and then we just dropped away. But we feel like we're getting closer. I broke even basically by winning the $2.10 up in the afternoon slate. I think that lineup was bigger than any of my lineups for the main slate. So, that just goes to show how that late slate went. But it was good times.
Yeah, that late slate really exceeded all my expectations. Really, so I thought a lot of the points would have been early on. And you were there with good mate Peachy, and Peachy's a bit of a mini whiz, new to DFS, but mini whiz, old Peachy. So it's good to see you up there as well, mate. And I was lucky enough to take out a solo showdown win for Sunday Night Football in the $2 mini. I was pretty happy with that. Yeah, Tim, Justin Fields, what a player, guys! If you are listening to the podcast, we're going to talk questions if people throw them in on the stream. So make sure you get on the stream next week. We'd love to see you there. And if you're on the stream right now, chuck through your questions, guys, and we'll take them as we go through the show. Well, Arch, without further ado, let's jump into the matchups for this week. Let's do it.
Yeah! Ha! We're gonna have a preview. Yeah!
This is what the people come for every week. Yeah, Seamoz. Seamoz, our good friend from Aussie Fantasy Football. Another fantastic Australian NFL fantasy product. So check out the Aussie Fantasy Football guys. Seamoz, Porter, Ewers, and old Tommy.
Yeah, don't forget Ewers this time.
No, wait. Love you guys. That's it. I'll let you handle the chat there, Arch, because it's going crazy.
Well, that's it. I don't have a run sheet. As we were 5 minutes late to the show, my computer's really. I think the hamster got tired. He was spinning the wheel.
That's right.
And so I had to replace him. But basically, it means I've got one window open and I don't have a run sheet at the moment. So
that's right. You got me.
We'll work it out.
That's what I'm here for. All right. If you're on YouTube, you can see the screen that I'm sharing, because if we tried to share a screen from Arch's computer, it would die. So we're going to jump in to one of the highest total on the slate. Can you believe it? It's a game between the Bears and the Falcons. Oh, my goodness me. What is going on in this NFL season? It is ridiculous. Man, we lose a lot of good teams off the slate this week. No Chiefs, no Chargers. So that stings a little bit. We have got Josh Allen on the slate, but it's meant to be 26 degrees Fahrenheit below freezing and snowing just lots. So I think we're avoiding that game as well. Even though the Cleveland defense has been trashed, the weather there is just ugly. So that's kind of why we're not going to talk about that one too much. So let's jump into Chicago at Atlanta, and let's start with the away team. And let's start with this phenomenal beast of a quarterback. His name is Justin Fields, and he is just destroying fantasy opponents everywhere. He's winning people a lot of money. He is passing for multiple touchdowns, rushing for multiple touchdowns, and rushing for approximately 160 yards a week for the last 2 weeks.
just approximately 160
Approximately. Yards. Like, this guy is just stupid what he's done the last 2 weeks. Now, it's come against Detroit and Miami, who both defenses have sucked. So you might go, oh, maybe there's a down week. Well, guess what? Atlanta's defense also is atrocious. They are 30th overall in defensive DVOA, 29th against the pass, and 25th against the rush. They're an easy beat team when it comes to the defense. So, look, Fields is too cheap. Yeah. Straight up, he's too cheap. He's $13,000. He has more than tripled his current salary the last 2 weeks. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go 40 plus again, but it's very much in his range of outcomes. Especially if we consider that Khalil Herbert is now on IR, and Justin Fields just has more chances to run. Like Khalil Herbert was averaging, I think, about 12 carries a week the last month, and so Fields has just more opportunity to take the ball downfield by himself. So, look, the team's moving the ball quick enough as well, being 14th in neutral pace. So they're moving the ball at a above average pace, which is great. And if he does want to pass it, his options, there's probably just two. Let's be honest. It's Mooney, and Mooney here is priced at $8,460. Again, super cheap for what he can do. And I know we haven't seen it this year, but let's just have a look at his other pass catcher, and that's Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet's last 2 weeks have been fantastic. 4 for 74 and 2 touchdowns, 5 for 41 and 2 touchdowns. What we're seeing, I think, is now Cole Kmet's opportunities aren't huge. Like, they're decent, and he's breaking big plays. But if Cole Kmet can break these big plays, then I'm just going to say that Darnell Mooney can as well.
Absolutely.
So if people keep pushing on Kmet, and I think Kmet will be highly rostered this week because he's cheap. He's sitting there at $6,630. Great price for, your tight end position. And then Darnell Mooney sitting here at $8,460. He's possibly going to be less preferred. And if I have a little squiz, Arch, at your ownership projections for this week, I'm looking here. Cole Kmet is sitting at 15.2% and Darnell Mooney at 13.9%. Hello. Interesting. So I'd actually prefer to go over the field here with Mooney than Kmet, just because tight ends are tight ends, and Kmet has been he's volatile, let's be honest. So,
without the touchdowns, what are you doing?
Exactly. So Kmet's still a good play, but Mooney's the guy that I really want to go to here. And that's particularly because Atlanta defense are bottom 8 in defending explosive pass rate. So look, let's get on this train. It's so cheap. The stack here is so cheap, and that's just what makes this so beautiful, is that you can fit so many other amazing pieces around this stack. I'm not going to touch any other pass catcher here on this team due to really they've got a low pass rate over expectation. They're still 31st in the last month in pass rate over expectation. They're running the ball with a stack. And the other receivers have just got super low targets per route run.
We didn't see Chase Claypool come on any further at all. In fact, they put him behind Pringle, didn't they?
Yeah, he was essentially 5th on the line, which was ridiculous that they traded for him, and then he isn't quite, delivering.
Yeah.
But let's talk about running backs, because David Montgomery, like I said before, has been left on his lonesome. I mean, aside from Justin Fields, in the backfield, and he hasn't delivered. I give you that. He has not delivered on his pricing really at all this year. Even those 18s back early in the season were, nothing to like. He was priced up back then, early on, especially because he was the number 1 running back on the team.
And
but Khalil Herbert going away
as well.
Pardon?
The team was playing very differently.
That's right. So, considering Fields, I think is going to gather a high ownership this week compared to other quarterbacks because he's so cheap, because of his recent history. I actually really love Monty as a leverage play here, and I don't think his ownership is going to be super high. Arch, your model as well only says 5.7%. If he's sitting in the 5% range, I'll gladly go 15% Montgomery with my lineups this week for the sake of being able to potentially see that he gets the rushing touchdowns this week instead of Fields. And so I know that's the contrarian play, and you got to kind of leverage the field if you can. And I love, Arch, that we've got these little ownership projections, although in beta mode, but there's something there, and I love that. It gives me something to actually tangible to think about as I move forward with my lineups this week. So the Bears' run game is superb. They're 4th in expected points added per play over the last month. Bears running backs have averaged 23.7 carries over the last 3 games. That's Monty and Khalil. And so if that's just all going to fall to Monty, if I'm going to see 24 carries for Montgomery this week, plus a couple of targets, then bang, I'm playing this guy. It's a smash play. So that's Chicago. Really up and about Chicago. And a lot of that's because Atlanta's defense sucks. But guess what? Chicago's defense sucks as well.
Yes.
It's not great. Really not great. They are, Chicago, 29th overall in defensive DVOA, 30th against the pass, 26th against the rush. Now, 26th against the rush and defensive DVOA, but in the last month, in terms of expected points added, they've actually been the 10th hardest to go against in expected points added per rush play. So I actually think what they're doing against the rush lately has been impressive. They've been able to stop it a little bit more than the pass. And so this is a question for Mariota. Mariota's sitting there at $12,560. He's priced up for where he's been performing. But the Bears' defense is trash, like I said. And the question here for me is, does Arthur Smith, this is asking a lot, I know, but does Arthur Smith actually look at where the Bears are vulnerable, i.e., in the last month, vulnerable against the pass, not so much against the run, and does he tick up just a little bit that pass rate?
No, he wants to run.
I'm asking for a lot. So, it's, anyway, because the reality is these guys have been passing it so little. Atlanta, 30th in pass rate over expectation over the last month as well. So, playing Mariota, playing the Falcons is really asking that question. It's really asking the question of, do you think that they shift just a little bit even? Because let's be honest, they also just have 2 targets that you care about. It's Pitts and London. We've tried to play Zacchaeus. We've tried to play Bird. We've tried to play Kadaro Hodge. But those 3 guys are they're punt plays that you can never really get right. It's really, if you're going to play this game, you play London or Pitts.
Yep.
And it's just the pass rate that's killing them. But the Bears suck against the pass. So it's really like, do you think that they pass a little bit more? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Now, last week as well, running back wise, the Falcons put out 4 running backs on the field. 4 running backs had meaningful carries. I mean, 4+ carries is meaningful, I guess, when they're splitting. No, I think it was like 20 odd carries between 4 of them. It's just a joke. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking here at Patterson. It's his second week back. Everyone was like, yeah, he'll be back to playing a bit more. But look, with the Bears being decent against the rush in the last month, only allowing a top of 59 rush yards to that's a high of rush yards in terms of a single running back in the last 2 games. I'm really much avoiding Patterson. I'm avoiding this whole backfield. It's messy. It's hard to decipher. You don't need to. You actually just don't need to decipher it.
No.
There's no ceiling here unless someone gets 2 touchdowns. But if Patterson gets 2 touchdowns, he might have only had 40 rushing yards. Like it's hard to know. And Mariota probably takes a rushing touchdown as well. So it's the Atlanta side is ugly, and I don't really want to stack it. It's a really thin stack if you're feeling frisky and you're like, yeah, sure, Mariota might pass a bit more. But the ideal stacks here are, it's Fields with Kmet and Mooney, and I'm gonna double stack here. I'm honestly going to double stack because it's so cheap. If Kmet can go big again and Mooney hits like 12 points, that's fine. If Mooney goes big and Kmet only hits maybe 7 points, that's fine. What you're getting out of your other players because of the salary you're saving here is great.
Yep.
And if this is going to be, but if it does pay off, if Kmet and Mooney all pay off, then you really want to bring it back with a Pitts or a London, because chances are it's paid off because both teams, like we saw last week, have hit 30 points.
Yep.
And so I'm very happy to go a Pitts or a London here. But if you want a mini stack, I don't hate it. I don't hate a Montgomery with a Pitts or a London in your team as well, as a bit of correlation and opportunity, or mopportunity, as we like to say with all Montgomery. So anyway, like that's where I'm at, Arch.
I'll worry this game fails.
Sure.
We've already seen it get bet down. It started above 50. It's down to 49.5 or 49 now on playup.com.au.
When you say fail, do you think Fields fails, or do you feel like the pieces around him fails?
I look at Atlanta. I look at them as 29th in neutral game script pace of play. Chicago are just super efficient. Really, and they're not a volume, heaps of plays type offense, and so my fear is that this slows down, and to me, I think after 2 40+ weeks, Fields has only gone up to 13K. To me, the crowd is going to be following that way too hard, and I don't know if I can play him in GPPs. Oh, he's my cash quarterback.
Sure.
Well, when I say I don't play him, I mean let's not go heavy on him.
Okay.
I'll probably throw in a couple, but yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if this is the week where it just slows down. It just doesn't. I mean, it's Chicago, Atlanta. It can't be that good, Rowan.
Don't become the guy that gets stuck in bias from a year ago, Arch. That's all I got to say. Heck, even 4 weeks ago, because
But it's
the
Atlanta.
NFL's changing. You got to keep up.
They're going to slow down the clock. Then Fields isn't just going to have that many opportunities.
I think though he's just shown that he's got this offense, and they understand how to use him and how to use the pieces. And there is nothing about this Atlanta defense that I look at and go, oh, they're better than Detroit and Miami's defense from a week and 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but it's the style of offense, Rowan. It's the Atlanta sitting on the ball, taking 10 minutes to get down the field.
But it's the explosive plays on the other side that I think will do it for Fields. Like it's the 50-yard.
I'm just worried that there's outs. I'm worried that there's outs.
Look, I don't disagree, but I think obviously I like this game more than you do. That's fine. Let's move on to your game, and I would say this is probably the game
exactly
that we should be focusing on this week.
Already bet up. It's 48 over under. Dallas at Minnesota under a dome. Dallas 1 point favourites. This is 2 points now. Couldn't play up. Come on, seriously. Minnesota are clearly favourites here. No, but this is what we look for, isn't it? We look at these 47 over under now. Actually, to me, I think as we get closer to game time, this might even overtake Chicago, Atlanta, as people just start looking deeper into what this is. These are two offenses who are top 7 in terms of neutral game script pace of play. We were just talking about that in the previous matchup. They suck in the pace of play, but these two are top 7. Look, both teams' offenses are cooking. Sure, Kirk might go to sleep in the second or third quarter, but he awakens and delivers drives when you need him to deliver. And so I think this could be a fun game to stack. Either way, but you're probably going to lean towards the Dallas side because Dak just tastes a bit nicer in your mouth. But I think Cousins at his value, could be all right. But we'll get on to Minnesota in a little bit. So, let's start with the favorites. Favorite. We'll call them favorites anyway, according to the bookies. Dallas. Look, since Dak's been back, the offense has been pretty good. Like Dak's been throwing the ball around and the offense is looking all right. They're 5th in, expected points added per play, 1st in points per game, 2nd in play success percentage, all since Dak's been back. Like the team, the offense is creating points, creating fantasy points, which is what we're excited about. And he's facing a pass funnel defense. All right, over the last 5 weeks, Minnesota have been 30th in explosive pass percentage defensively and a 31st in drive success defensively. They're just letting people have it. There we are. However, Minnesota in that same period, in the last 5 weeks, they're 1st in rush EPA per play. So it's interesting that the defense, it is purely you attack Minnesota through the air. Yeah, they got a few interceptions last week, and they were quite good. And what a bloody game that was, Rowan, against Buffalo. Yeah. Oh man.
Calm yourself, Arch.
I tell you, I actually scared my children. I was home watching it and went to school quite late because of it. And I was running around the place. So I thought we'd won it. Then I thought we lost it. Then I thought we won it. It was just, it was a roller coaster of emotions.
I think the next gen win percentage stats were just roller coastering within that last minute of play.
Do yourself a favor and listen to the Vikings announcing team, Paul Allen, their radio guy. He's one of the great. He's almost like the Stephen Rowe of American sports callers. For anyone who listens to 5AA in Adelaide, but which is probably not many who listen to this podcast. Anyway, look, I think Dak's going to air it out, and it's going to be good. He's only 12.8K. You look at, I don't know if you can look at all the quarterbacks on the slate quickly for those who are watching on YouTube, Brian, but it's when you look at how much you're going to pay to get up to a Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, he's really, it's him, Justin. This is, to me, the Justin Fields leverage quarterback play. where the field's going to, it's only, 200 and a bit, $220 more to get up to fields. I think Dak's a pretty nice little leverage here. So
all you have to say is leverage, Arch, and it gets me excited. So, I'm on board.
I saw the table rise. Let's talk about, shall we do a play of the week type situation? What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Show me the money!
CeeDee Lamb is our premium play of the week. In a dome, he faces a Minnesota defense that's 28th in schedule-adjusted fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. The Vikings are also allowing the third most passing plays over 20 yards, but are also first in rush EPA. So they're going to force teams through the air. Who benefits from that? CeeDee Lamb, of course. He is the perfect piece for your Dallas stacks this week.
Love it. Can't go wrong.
Obviously, there's a fair amount of chalk following CeeDee Lamb. We're projecting a 22% ownership, so you're going to have to get different somewhere else. But you look at how much are you going to pay for a Dak CeeDee Lamb stack roll? And if you build that right now on YouTube, you're putting Dak at 12.8. CeeDee Lamb is sub 15. Like you've got 28,000 of your salary is only eaten up. We're talking about prime QBs with their number one alphas costing 30, 35 in the weeks past. So this is a great, real premium stack that I'm really looking forward to playing. Pairing it with stack as you've just done as well. I look at the tight end slate. It's again, we say this every week.
Disgusting.
It's a wasteland.
So bad.
Can we trust Mark Andrews this week because he's the pay-up guy? But then you look at who Draftstars has on their list. It's Dallas Goedert, who's gone to IR. Tyler Higbee, you wouldn't trust with anything. And Dalton Schultz is probably he's almost the premium tight end of the slate at 8.8K, Rowan.
And I don't hate it. I really don't hate it at all. He's just a favourite of Dak.
Over the last month, he's got a 20+% target share. The usage is beautiful. And so you look at your Dak, your CD, your Schultz, like you're not spending much. You feel you're like, to me, this is my mini stacks, like for maybe even half of my 15 lineups, Rowan. Like,
be careful, Arch. You're going to push that ownership above 30% here.
Look, whatever. All right, yeah. No one play them, except for me. Can I just say, let's not forget about old mate Gallup.
He's a tough one.
He's a tough one, but if you're looking for a way to get different in what will be a chalky matchup, like this is probably, the high the high total of the Atlanta Chicago command ownership, obviously with Fields, but to me, this is probably the one that people are going to be more comfortable with. Like it feels nicer building a Dallas stack, and so obviously CD's your number one guy. Schultz is very popular as well. But to me, Gallup is someone who will come in very under-owned. He's sub 9K wide receiver. You can chuck him on. Why not go onslaught and throw him in there to save some salary? To me, I think this is a back and forth affair. And so I think Gallup is someone to keep in mind. Last week, 83% route participation. Like, he's in the old all cardio club, not getting too many targets, but
that's right.
He's out there running, and so it's a matter of time. Like Gallup's a quality player, and so let's not sleep on him. A lot of people have forgotten about him, so I think he's going to be under-owned, and you could, capitalize. Do we want to talk about running backs?
No, because we don't need to. Because really, you just said it. They're stopping the run like nobody's business. The Vikings.
Yeah.
So
to me, I mean, is Zeke going to play? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it's. I'm only interested in Pollard as a speculative play if Zeke isn't playing. But if Zeke's playing, I'm not touching anyone here. On the other side.
Yeah, let's talk Minnesota.
Kirk Thuggins, as he's known, with the chains around his neck on the plane. He's been getting it done, man. Cousins. Just
He's
quietly.
doubled his salary twice out of the last 5 weeks. Close last week as well. Like, it's not out of the question for him to post a 24-point game here.
Yeah, I mean, stats are great, Ryan, but what I want to talk about is how chiseled his abs looked on that plane without a shirt.
Talking about table rising. Fire out. Get it in.
Anyway, what are we talking about? Cousins. Over the last 5 weeks, let's look at the Vikings offense. They're third in points per game. Do you remember what I said about Dallas? They're first in points per game over the last few weeks. This is why I'm excited about this matchup, Rowan. They're fourth in pass rate over expectation and pass percentage, seventh in explosive pass percentage. Thank you, Justin Jefferson. Cousins is 11.8K. I can't see him scoring under 20 points this week. And to me, that's kind of enough to get it done. It will return some value. Will he win you a GPP, though, Ron? This is where I probably don't get excited about.
Yeah, probably not. I think he's a good cash play.
Yeah.
Solid cash play this week.
Yep. Yeah, but then why would
Fields, right?
Yeah, you play Fields in cash. Let's... The only thing I have a concern though, Rowan, Dallas obviously the sack happy plays in Dallas defense here, hitting up the Vikings O-line that's 28th in pressure percentage, and Kirk under pressure is not good Kirk, and so this is my concern about this matchup, that they actually get to Kirk and things don't look great, but. Let's hope he gets the ball out quickly. He's got plenty of options around there. Speaking of options, and oh my goodness, I couldn't love Justin Jefferson anymore. And then last week happened, and he catches a ball that he shouldn't have. The more you watch that replay of that catch, you think, how does it? It just I couldn't. How did it happen? Anyway, he's not human. Do you want to hear? You're not a crazy stat of Justin Jefferson, Roll?
Sure, I'm just regretting the fact that I gave you the Minnesota matchup for this right now.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, what's this crazy stat about Justin Jefferson? I'm sure there's many.
He's only had 4 touchdowns on the year. What? 4 touchdowns.
And 2 came in week 1.
Yeah. So if you're looking for regression, positive regression, you want to pair that with an even crazier stat, Ron?
I'm listening.
He is first in the NFL in end zone targets.
No.
How crazy is that?
Touchdowns. That's ridiculous.
So this is, how do you not play Justin Jefferson every week? I don't care who's on him. I'm just going to be heavy on him. And 17.8K, we're talking about we're talking about a team, a player that is just... we were playing Cup at 20K last year. This is until Jefferson hits that, I'm playing him. I don't care what you say. Sure. Thielen. Let's talk about Thielen. He's only had 2 touchdowns on the year.
Be so long-winded about it, though.
No. Look, I love Thielen just for who he is and the history there. He's run routes on 91% of team dropbacks. He's running. He's out there working. He's just not. It's not coming together. And so don't forget to sprinkle him into some of your bringbacks on your DAX stacks. Why not throw in a sub 10K Thielen who could, always a chance to score a couple touchdowns. Hawkinson.
Oh, what an addition.
Peachy, yes. Why wouldn't we mind Hawkinson? He is heavily involved in the offense. If I look at quickly his usage, and this is tough when I don't have my computer.
His usage is a beautiful thing. It is
89% of routes run last week, 21% targets per route run. He is an integral part of this offense, and so I want to talk about Cook as well in the same breath here. I think Cook's a great leverage play on this matchup where everyone's playing through the air. Dalvin Cook is playing 80% of dropbacks as well.
I thought Dalvin Cook was going to win me money last week, and then the bloody late slate was too good.
Yeah, that's right.
Cook was solo owned and put up a really solid score, doubled his salary.
I look at Cook and Hawkinson, and then I look at what my concerns were. Dallas applying pressure to Kirk. What's Kirk going to do under pressure? He's going to dump it off. And so Hawkinson and Cook should get a lot of PPR points this week. So I don't mind both of those plays, and good, nice price. Like you look at the price all around on this game, like this is a easy to stack game. Like I think I sent you a screenshot of what I've put in for the TFL.
Yeah, you did.
One, and it was
It's
very
all of
much.
this.
It was all of it. It was two. Why not bring it back with two Minnesota bringbacks? So let's talk about stacks. Dak and CD and Schultz or a Gallup, I think, is just a nice little core that you can build a lot of other lineups around. Bringing it back with a Jefferson.
Yeah.
Don't forget Don't forget about a 6K KJ Osborne that could always pop up for a touchdown as well, Ron.
Oh yeah. Don't mind it.
But your CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Dak stacks, like that is core. And then you can switch all the other an extra piece or two around that as well from this game. CD Jefferson mini stacks are just going to be like me breathing as I build my lineups.
Yeah.
It's just
Why
everywhere.
not? They're just
super
fantastic
leverage play.
protections.
Super leverage.
Super. I'm listening.
What about a Pollard Dallas defense? You think this game might grind and fail?
If they get the sacks, if the sacks are up, don't mind it.
So that's something to keep in the back of your mind as something. If you're for your other stacks that you put, just to I guess in case this fails, you'll have plenty of these guys in as part of your lineups. Have a couple other stacks with a Pollard Dallas defense. Dallas defense is sub 5K this week as well, so it helps you get to other pieces. Anyway, move on.
Fair enough.
I'll let you be the homer next, mate.
Yeah, look, it's Philadelphia at Indianapolis, and this is
It's more fun doing our own teams, mate. What are you talking about?
Of course it is. Look,
Well, maybe not after Philly. Maybe Philly after losing against Washington. You're not that excited.
The first thing I wrote when I was looking at this game was danger game. Look, here's the thing: Colts have a great rush defense. Over the past month, they've been really solid, and I think this is the one thing that concerns me about Hurts is that it caps his upside. And when you're priced at 16,870, I don't want his upside to be capped. I don't want there to be any questions about what he could possibly do. Now, the thing is, thankfully, Indianapolis's pass defense has been pretty middle of the road and able to be attacked. So that's important. But yeah, look, they're fifth in defensive DVOA for the rush against the rush, and they're first in defending rush expected points added per play. So, it's a dangerous one when it comes to Philly's run offense. But if they want to pass, they can pass. Philly are second in explosive pass rate, and we're looking to get the ball in the hands of the phenomenal outside wide receivers. Now, obviously, got it on that ridiculous face mask non-call. Oh my gosh, worst call all year. That hurts. That it's a dagger in my soul. But look, without got it actually just it thins the passing tree, and that's actually good for DFS. It's good for our ability to predict where the ball's going to go. It's going to go to AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. So if I'm looking here at these wide receivers, yes, Brown's dealing with the ankle, but he's come out and said he's going to be solid. I'm just ignoring the 1.7. He hurt that ankle way early in the game, so I'm going to ignore that. Devonta Smith, though, look, he came back, six receptions. Wasn't the explosive receptions that we know and love from Devonta Smith, but still scored a touchdown. I actually am a big fan of Brown and Smith this week, and not even stacking them with Hurts. I think these guys are coming into a game environment where if the Philadelphia Eagles want to move the ball, they have to use these two. Yep. They can't be relying on the backup tight end in Stoll. They can't be relying on Pascal and Quez Watkins. We need Brown and Devonta Smith to be the guys this week, and Hurts needs them too as well. Look, so looking there, I'm going, these two at really solid prices. Like I'm looking at AJ Brown and he's sub 13,000. Yeah. I get the same feeling that I had with Dalvin Cook last week, who was sub 13,000. Like Brown's ability here to have monster games and be the guy that takes. Like we saw Goddard be the guy in the middle, right? He was the guy taking catches in between the numbers and pushing downfield, yards after the catch. If there's a guy that they want to replace that role, it's A.J. Brown. You put Quez Watkins back on the outside and you use A.J. Brown in the slot. You push him as a monster target into the middle of the field and you allow him to get down with yards after the catch. I think A.J. Brown, if healthy, is in line for a really big role with Dallas Goedert out. So I really love what A.J. Brown brings to the table this week. There you go. So that's the thing. Indianapolis Colts keep Philly in the air, and we'll have a fun time playing DFS with the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. Now, Stoll and Calcaterra, they're 5K tight ends, and look, whatever. Jack Stoll's okay. He's running a fair amount of routes, especially when Goddard went off the field. He was the one to run the routes at tight end land. It's punt. And honestly, I think one of the things we see is that it is still it's plus EV to make sure that you are stacking your tight end with something. And so even if it's not with your quarterback, to still involve them in a game environment is wise. So Jack Stoll, I think you can use if you really need that cash. So I don't mind that at all. Now, Miles Sanders, though, I'm going to avoid Miles Sanders this week. He's 11,240. He hasn't shown the ceiling since the 3rd of October, and Indianapolis Colts are great against the run. So that's enough said for me. I'm going to kind of move on from Miles Sanders. The Colts, there's not heaps to say. Let's be honest. There's not heaps to say about the Colts.
Matt Ryan's back.
Matt Ryan is back, and I don't care. If anything, that just means he's going to pass it more, which means the Eagles have more opportunities to get some interceptions. So that's really how I see this. The thing that he does do is, compared to Ellinger, which was a horrific train wreck of an experiment, Matt Ryan is going to slightly bump up the passing volume, and he's going to open up the game a bit more for our mate, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor last week, 10K, just showed everyone that he was back, was on the field for like 90+% of snaps. And yes, Peachy, Jonathan Taylor against the Eagles' run defense is going to be one of my favorite plays of the week, but I think he's going to be chalky with everything as well. So, yeah, just juice, very juicy. Just juicy. Nippy's juicy. Whatever kind of juice you like to drink. It's a juicy matchup for old
Move on,
JT. So, look, he looked good last week. Looked healthy. He was topping speeds of 20 miles per hour, which is just stupid. Philadelphia are, of late, a run funnel defense. JT is really a smash play. I can't see why I would not be playing JT this week. Yeah, I think he's almost a cash lock in many ways. So I'm really, really, really keen on JT. Pittman and the other Indianapolis receivers are up against it, for lack of a better word. The Eagles are just better than what we saw last week against Washington. I expect the defense to really be ruining their mistakes and wanting to make up for it. They're still Philadelphia first in defensive pass DVOA. The only wide receiver for the Colts that I would consider is Campbell. Now, he's bloody cheap. He's sitting there at 6,240. Let's see what he's done. Hey, a 20 game, a 23 game, and 18.7
that was
game.
with Matt Ryan as well, Ron. He went down when Ellinger came in.
Exactly. So Matt Ryan, if he is wanting to throw the ball because he can't run, he's either going to pass it off to JT or is he going to lob it up? Pittman, look, I think he's okay. He's going to get the volume. That's fine. But Paris Campbell has a tendency to show that he can perform when he's healthy. Yeah. And I was looking at some of these stats. He on the season, because he's been off and on, he's earning a target on 33% of his routes. That's good. That's really good. So at this basement price, I'm actually going to get Campbell a lot, I think.
Yep.
And Campbell, I'd even be happy to play Campbell with Jonathan Taylor for what he can do, especially if this game does, if the Colts can somehow put points on the board, then it's going to be through these two. And Pittman, sure, but Campbell for his price is great. Colts tight ends suck, so don't go there.
They have tight ends.
Apparently. Anyway, the way I'm stacking this game is Hurts, Brown, and Smith. Bring it back with JT. Pretty straightforward there. And then I'm going to have A.J. Brown with either a JT or a Campbell. That's a way I kind of want to play this game as well. Nice. So that's it. That's really all I want to do. Now, the rest of the matchups on this slate are what I would say trash. No, not
suboptimal.
Really suboptimal. The totals on some of these games are just atrocious. Non-juicy, very dry. But Arch, you do have a couple of quarterback stacks that you want to run us through here, just to see where else we might be going in terms of QB land.
Yeah, obviously only touching on 3 matchups. There are other options out there, especially price-wise. So maybe let's go from price from the top. Lamar Jackson is playing Carolina. Baltimore have the highest implied team total on the slate, so we shouldn't ignore that. The problem is what do you do with Lamar Jackson? Who are you going to pair him with? And so if Mark Andrews is active, you're obviously going there. But we saw him coming back, early last time. It wasn't great. So just keep an eye on that situation. Monitor some practices. Throw in a Duvernay, bringing it back with DJ. DJ Moore is a very nice value. Again, 8.5K. For a guy that is heavily involved, although there's very low passing. I think they only had 17 dropbacks last week. Yeah. So,
but they were winning, and when they win, they want to run the ball.
Yeah, and they're not going to win this game. So keep an eye on DJ Moore at 8.5K. Next quarterback, Rowan. Let's talk about Josh Allen. We've already mentioned a bit of the weather just to keep an eye out. We're thinking, is it snow, blizzard type situation, or just cold?
Yeah, it's not heavy snow, but it's going to be snowing for the I saw a quarter by quarter prediction. It's going to be snowing for 3/4 of it. It's ugly.
Yeah. So look, it could still potentially get it done, but to me, when we're talking about all these guys we've mentioned in the matchup previews, underpriced, below him. Why not just play Jalen Hurts instead of Josh Allen this week at the similar price? But Allen with a Diggs, bring it back with a Chubb could be a nice little. Might be under-owned if everyone else is keeping an eye on the weather. It seems to have worked before.
If the weather wasn't an option, the Buffalo-Cleveland game would be so high on my stacking priority. So I'm going to be monitoring this weather a lot, because if people are scared off now, and it somehow clears or something changes just enough, then Chubb is so good. Buffalo's defense against the explosive runs been poor lately.
And this is the clear, almost one of the last edges you have in DFS, especially in Australia, is late news. As we saw last week, the Buffalo-Minnesota game everyone was off because Allen was not going to play. Yeah. And so we saw Jefferson at very low ownership, really. And whereas if we thought Allen was playing all week, that game, Jefferson would have been 30-40%. Anyway. Obviously late news is good. Joe Burrow at Pitt worries me a little bit. Pittsburgh defense can slow things down.
TJ Watt's back.
He's back. But and without Jamar Chase, if you're playing Burrow, it's Burrow and Higgins and Boyd. Bringing it back with a Pickens is nice. You're not spending too much there.
I like that.
You might sprinkle that into your micro. But other than that, I don't really want to play any other quarterbacks around. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not going to play Russell Wilson. I don't care if it's against Las Vegas, whatever. Daniel Jones intrigues me, but the thing is, I'm only going to be doing Daniel Jones if I can. I'll pair him with Slayton. That's really it. Because Slayton can push downfield.
I don't mind a bit of Wandale Robinson this week, Rowan. Just putting that out. But we'll get on to wide receivers.
Sure. All right, I'll let you talk about him a bit later on. All right, value for me. Let's go all the way down here. Jacoby Brissett. Nah, look, let's be honest. I can't find.
No. Can we move on to running backs?
Let's go. Who's your best? Who's your best running back this week?
Saquon Barkley. He was our premium last week. It almost became our premium player of the week this week, where we thought, we can't go the same player all the time. So Barkley, Detroit are 25th in adjusted fantasy points to RBs. But it's Barkley. Let's just not overthink.
It's the safest houses cash play. It's a potential big ceiling GPP play.
That's it. Look, obviously, he's pushing around 20% projected ownership, according to me. I don't have that much confidence in my own projections, but I don't know.
We'll see how we go.
It's better than anything we've got out there. Chubb's pretty good. 12K. We kind of mentioned a little bit about that matchup against Buffalo. If it's snowing, they're probably not going to want to trust Brissett too much. Chubb should get a lot of volume. Just not someone I'm keen to play, but something I want to talk about is Joe Mixon. Last week, finally went off.
Well, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks?
Last week.
Oh, yeah. 58 points. That was crazy. I'll let the crowd chase those points against Pittsburgh, who are 8th in adjusted fantasy points to RBs, and pair that with high projected ownership. I'm fading Mixon.
No, fair call. Fair call. Some values for me. Look, it's not quite a value, but I really do like Ramondre Stevenson this week. I'm not scared by Damian Harris. The Jets have been decent against the air, so I don't mind Stevenson on the ground. He's always there when it comes to the red zone. He's trusted. Belichick trusts him, which is great. I love that.
Yep.
The other guy that I was kind of looking at down here, I don't mind Jamal Williams because he seems to be the 1A in this backfield at sub 10K. I don't mind. But let's talk about the Washington backfield. They're going up against Houston. Both of these guys are priced in the 8K range. Gibson at 8.7 and Brian Robinson at 8 flat. And I don't know. There's just we know how bad Houston are against the ground. They are the worst team in terms of defending the rush. So my preferred guy is Antonio Gibson, especially if J.D. McKissick is out still. Then I actually don't mind Gibson at all. Brian Robinson, though, did take over the snap share. He was higher up. So, I don't mind Antonio Gibson this week. Brad Bolt, what is up, gentlemen? We're doing well. It's good to see you in the chat. Appreciate it.
Brad.
All right, Arch. We got a fade of the week in running back land.
Oh, I wasn't ready.
Yeah. I know you weren't. Hit it now.
Declare bankruptcy!
Look, it's pretty straightforward here, but Alvin Kamara is our fade of the week. And I know that we like to go to him because he catches the ball a ton. But the reality is, even with some catches in the last few weeks, his ability to rush the ball has been atrocious, to say that. And particularly because the offensive line in New Orleans has been just decimated with injuries. I think there was 3 starting linemen and plus some backups that were out last week, and that's going to continue for, I think, at least this week. So Dalton's just not dealing well with the pressure, and Kamara isn't being... He needs to hit 30 points in a GPP to pay off here. He's just not doing it. So this week, Kamara is our fade of the week.
No, I agree, Ron. There's plenty of other options out there.
Just go somewhere else. All right, let's talk wide receivers.
Yes.
Best wide receivers. Well, let's go to the top. We talked about Jefferson for sure. Diggs, iffy. Devontae Adams against Denver is an interesting one. Denver's been really tough against as a defense. Been really hard to score against. He actually had a decent game against them, but that's been like the best game that anyone's had against Denver this whole year. Is that 9 for 101? So I'm hesitant to play Adams, especially if he's limited in practice this week. T. Higgins really is the guy here that I really like against Pittsburgh. And look, Cincinnati, 3rd in pass rate over expectation. We love that. We love how much they want to get move the ball through the air. Pittsburgh are 25th in pass expected points per play allowed. So I'm not scared. I'm of Pittsburgh here. I know that there's some differing stats around the place, but I'm just not that scared of Pittsburgh in regards to T. Higgins. Maybe a little bit more in terms of Burrow and the pressure he'll face, but in terms of T. Higgins, he's going to be the guy that they look to a lot with Jamar Chase out. So I'm expecting a spike week here from T. Higgins. But we talked a fade, but let's quickly also talk a value of the week as well from us.
Inconceivable. Inconceivable.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, favorite of mine. He is our value of the week. Back with a vengeance last week. No Hawkinson and limited snaps to DeAndre Swift. Amon-Ra St. Brown was the primary way the Lions moved the ball last week. Last week, he ran a route on 89% of dropbacks and was targeted on 44% of them. He is the guy. They want to move the ball with him, the ball in his hands, insane numbers. He's too cheap, more than doubling his current salary last week. In a game with a solid total as well between the Giants and the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown really is a smash play in that $11,000 range. So he's our value of the week.
Yes. No,
but let's talk
not
about
overthink it.
Yeah, that's right. Other value, Arch. Talk to me.
Other values, just bring out the screen. I'm going to just whip through a whole bunch of names quickly with really no analysis to give you just for time's sake. We've talked about AJ Brown already, 12.8K. I think that's, don't be scared off by last week. Terry McLaurin, 11K after last, I think we all just remembered how bloody good he is. And Heineke has been confirmed the starter. I think Terry is just someone we can trust a little bit. 11K, pretty nice. I've mentioned Wan'Dale Robinson very quickly. I don't mind him as someone who is, potentially going to be overlooked. He's sub 9K against Detroit, who love to give up, the pass. You mentioned Slayton inserted, in maybe some deep threats, but who else is Daniel Jones going to? It's Wan'Dale Robinson, and I think hit him up big time. Darnell Mooney, you've already mentioned a little bit already. I like him. Cortland Sutton is another one. I think is Judy probably not going to play.
I think he's definitely trending that way.
Ron. Darnell Mooney, I think is Cortland Sutton. Sorry, sub 10K as well. I think keep an eye on what's going on there. I think he's a quality player,
especially against the Raiders.
Yep. So they're good values. Let's go. Everyone wants to know who are the 6K guys that could pop in wide receiver land on Draftstarts in terms of punt plays. Skoranek, I've definitely spelled that wrong in our run sheet. 6K, Cup's out. And, who's the next white guy they're going to pass to? It's Skoranek. Kendall Hinton is also going to be a beneficiary of Judy not playing. I believe he might be a popular punt play. Just keep that in mind. Paris Campbell, we've already mentioned as a 6K guy. Khalif Raymond's always in play for Detroit at 6K as an option. KJ Osborne, we've talked about already. Jarvis Landry, if he's healthy and back, he's, sub 7K or, 6.8. Not a bad little option there as well. But really, I'm not that excited about playing too much of New Orleans against the Rams. But there's some 6K guys. Tight ends.
There you go. Yep. Who we got? Mark Andrews at the top. Not much.
Mark Andrews. I mean, he's 33%. Targets per route run on the year. Like he is the Baltimore offense when it comes to air yards. There's still no Bateman. Who else are you going to play? So Mark Andrews, if he's healthy, keep an eye on practice reports. Obviously, late news as always, as we've mentioned.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's no pay up options. That's Mark Andrews, and then you're going down.
Yeah, that's right. And these are the guys that I like. We mentioned Schultz and Hockenson. Frymouth is really picking up in terms of his usage in the Pittsburgh offense, so I like him a lot. Exactly. Greg Dulcich, like dud last week after being chalk, but I think he bounces back against Las Vegas.
Yep.
I'm a big Dulcich fan. Foster Moreau, we know that Waller is on IR, so I don't mind him. And these guys as well, you want to use them as stacks. Isaiah Likely will garner so much ownership if Mark Andrews is out, though.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I like Lamar stacks better without Mark Andrews, and if I can go Likely instead. So if there's no Mark Andrews, I think people pivot off Lamar, and I'll pivot on. That's actually how I'm gonna I'd run that.
I like that.
Other than that, I mean, you've got here Tanner Hudson for a 5K guy, but I don't think I'm gonna need to get a 5K guy this week. I think there's enough value elsewhere for me to avoid having to absolutely pay down. But yeah, anyway, there you go. Let's talk DSTs real quick. I mean, you got Baltimore against the Ravens. You're paying up there. That's pretty good. In terms of Buffalo and Cleveland in this game, I actually think that you can avoid paying up for the Bills and actually go down and pay for the Browns, but you're going to play values in a bit. Otherwise, I'm a big fan of the Patriots as well against the Jets, and also the Jets against the Patriots. I actually think both of those defenses could do well, and potentially the Jets come away again with some takeaways with Mac Jones errant throwing. So I like those guys. That's where I'm sitting there.
Yeah,
Values though, Arch.
Yeah, low price guys, sub 5K. Cowboys at 4.7 and I mentioned them earlier with Pollard as a leverage play against is a very popular stack. So not many people are going to be on the Dallas Cowboys defense this week. Raiders at 4.6K playing Denver. I mean,
yeah,
what is Denver? So that's not a bad play. I don't know. I've in terms of the lineups that I've built, I kind of get drawn to the Detroit Lions, and I don't know if it's still a bit of a Hard Knocks hangover and my absolute love affair with Dan Campbell, but they came good. They got that defensive touchdown last week against Dan Jones, who's actually been looking after the ball fairly well, but we still maybe he's probably going to give the ball over at some stage. So I don't mind the Detroit Lions. If at stone minimum 4K.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer to pivot to the Browns, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't mind that. All right, that's it. Our position-by-position preview is done, and we are up to our favorite point of the episode where we build a lineup. Let's build a lineup.
Yes.
All right, let's build a stack. Let's go with the. You seem so excited about the Prescott stack, so let's play the Prescott stack with Prescott
CD
and Lamb.
and Jefferson.
Yeah, let's avoid Schultz because you like Gallup. I don't mind Gallup.
Yep.
So here we go. And, of course, who are we bringing it back with?
Oh, Jay Jets.
Oh, Jay Jets. That's all right. Okay. Now, we've got 9,000 on average remaining. Let's bring in a really cheap.
You want to go Cleveland?
I like the Raiders. Let's go the Raiders.
All right.
Just because I think they're less risk than the Browns. Even though it's in the snow, playing against Buffalo can still be danger. So I'd prefer to pay up just a touch and go the Raiders here. Now, we did say that our value of the week was Amon-Ra St. Brown. So let's see if we can fit him in our flex spot. I've got a tight end and two running backs.
9K for the rest of the way. It's going to be hard with our running backs.
Well, I actually don't mind if we play JT.
Yeah.
And here's
I would have
sneaky,
loved a Barkley in there, but we're not going to make that work.
Not with Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. I don't think we can quite get there. Here's what I'm going to propose. I'm going to propose that we do the old tight end correlation, and we play Jackie Stoll with Jonathan Taylor. How's that?
Yeah, I like
that. Here we go. I don't mind. There's enough cash here to enjoy something. Would have been great to get up to.
To me, it's Chubb
or
Stevenson here. Who do you like better?
I think against the Buffalo, they're not going to trust Brissett through the air. They want Chubb on the ground. Kareem Hunt really is a non-factor, so I'm going to play Nick Chubb.
Don't mind it.
Don't mind it. There you go. Lineup of the week for you all.
Lovely.
Well, once again, Arch, we are at the end of another fantastic episode of the TFL podcast. Everybody, make sure you like and subscribe and find us on the socials. But, of course, if you want access to Arch's phenomenal spreadsheet to help you analyze and break down the upcoming slates for NFL DFS on Draftstarts, then hit up our Patreon, patreon.com/the TFL podcast.
I'll give you a free trial. Just DM us.
That's it. We'll we're good people here at the TFL podcast. So hit us up. Love to see you. And, mate, it's been a fun episode. I'm looking forward to this week. It's started ugly, but there's some good plays this week. I'm excited.
Absolutely. There always is.
Always. Don't forget, gamble responsibly, 1-800-838-838. And everybody, enjoy the weekend ahead, and we will catch you next week. Bye-bye.